says, you can always tell a baker's daughter because she's a cutie pie. I like that. That's a cute joke. Let's see. Cass says, I have a 65 Impala. The paint is old and I want to sand it down to bare metal. Should I sand it or should I use the paint remover? This 400 grit? So that was all with one sheet.
Yeah.
And look at it. See how even though you sand, you still have your shiny edges, which means you still have to go back with the scuff pad. But after just one sheet of sandpaper, it did all of this. It did the whole half of the roof, the whole upper. See, when I tell you guys, shops either don't know what they're doing or they're cheating you by charging you for a full box of sandpaper and they don't use it. I mean that. That was one whole sheet of 400 grit that did half a roof. Another sheet to do the other half of the roof and the tops.
I think we've used like 6 sheets so far.
Is that 80 grit?
Pretty nifty little cut in the roof for some reason.
I didn't even see it. Is that Bondo?
No, it's a surface scratch. There's some rust.
Big Gary says, my dad always said old paint is better than primer to spray over.
Yeah.
Because it's one less thing to
feel. If it's still good, that means it's adhering. There's no reason to remove it. Yeah.
Right. Let's see. Cass says, I have a 65 Impala. The paint is old and I want to sand it down to bare metal. Should I sand it or should I use the paint remover?
Paint remover.
Take less time.
Chances are there's more paint jobs on that than you can count. And so...
Not to mention Bondo, though.
Easier. Probably the better thing to do would be find somebody that soda blast or sandblast it. Make sure they know what they're doing, but yeah, take it to them. It costs more, but if you're going to do it yourself, you can do it either way. I hate aircraft stripper. I hate the airplane stripper. This stuff smells bad, and it is rough. You gotta tape up all your edges or that shit goes in it.
Why not wet sand?
Why should I? Why do I need to?
How do y'all wipe off after? Degreaser and tack cloth?
No, just a rag. Blow it off with a rag.
What grit sandpaper do you start with?
400.
That's usually the highest we go and the lowest we go on good paint. So literally just 400.
400.
When your paint is all nice and shiny like this, just right. 400 it. You don't need to do more.
Now comes to the sanding portion, the hand sanding.
Jay says, can JP paint my Cybertruck?
No.
Nice drink of choice.
No.
He prefers Mountain Dew.
I prefer tea or Mountain Dew. I need to get back to those, to tea.
Why is he always mad?
Why am I mad?
How is he mad?
How am I mad? That's the problem. You children see a tone or hear a tone, and that kicks something inside your little cerebral cortex that says, Daddy's mad at me.
Poof says the tone of his voice grabs people's attention, but he's not angry.
Correct.
Mike says he's the perfect example of showing the truth really hurts softies.
It does. Everybody acts like there's only one way to do this, and there isn't. I do and have developed what works for me and my customers. Your shit's gonna peel! Find it. Find it. Because if I was doing stuff like Mikey New Customs up there, 704 Customs, who's ripping people off, you'd see my shit everywhere on Google. This peeled. This was JP's.
Let's see. Jackson says, I used to work with a guy like him. He's just blunt and doesn't put up with crap.
Right.
Fox says, I need some help / advice with fixing the clear coat on my bad bird. It's a neat patina, but I don't want to ruin it.
I can't help you with that, man. I don't deal with patina paint jobs. There are guys out there that do.
He doesn't, because patina, truthfully, if you're just spraying clear over top of rust, is going to peel, and it's going to continue rusting. It's not going to stop just because you throw clear over it.
Right, it'll slow it, but it won't stop it. Here's your big question. Does John truly believe that 2K primer is shit, and he thinks lacquer primer is better? The answer to that question is yes, unequivocally, has always been. Because when 2K primer was first came out in our industry for us to get our hands on it and use it, you would prime one day, set the car outside overnight, bring it back in. It was dry. It was not cured. Because at the time, the data sheets would tell you it needs 6 weeks to cure, but will dry in 24 hours, which means it's always shrinking for the next 6 weeks. People go, you're full of shit, John. You don't know a goddamn thing. Ask every restoration shop in America who's doing restorations, frame-off restorations. They'll prime a car, and they'll put it outside for 3 months, not 6 weeks, but 3 months. The reason they do that is so that primer will not dry, but cure and dry. They bring it back in, they do their body work, they prime it, they put it outside again for another 3 months. John's not full of shit. You're just too goddamn lazy to go ask a real restoration shop how it's done. Now, you'll find morons like Tic Tac Dan, who's a mechanic, that don't know a goddamn thing, and they'll go, oh yeah, I'll prime it one day and then put it back in and do it the next. So, you gotta make sure that the people you're talking to are honest to God restorers.
Let's see, Mick, sorry. My car is rattle can primer. Do I need a sealer?
No, you need somebody to strip that motherfucker because they fucked it up whenever they put the
Rattle can
primer on it, dude. That's not primer.
PSI is probably at 25 to 30. Now this is just primer.
Hey, in truth, I love fried dog.
There it is.
Pretty good.
Let's see. You should have blown it off before you primered. Truthfully, overspray gets all over. Whenever you spray primer, it gets up back here, so you have to blow it off anyways.
I mean, I can blow off the mom, but what's the point?
I think someone on here... Queen says, I do have a question. When you're using primer, how do you clean your gun?
Just lacquer thinner.
That's it.
Use just straight lacquer thinner to clean out the primer.
Make sure if you use lacquer primer, right? You just use lacquer thinner to clean it out.
This is just lacquer thinner from this can. It's just 5-gallon lacquer thinner. Pour it in.
Let's see. Amelite says, I find ours always gum up, but we use spray pens. Maybe I should switch to the big gun. I don't know. We don't really use the little ones because, yeah, they gum up pretty quickly. Because with primer, it's usually meant to be sprayed thick, so it'll gum up inside those little... Because those are like 0.8 tips to them sometimes. This head right here on this big guy is a 1.4, right? I don't think you can see that on there. Yeah, but yeah, it's 1.4. Do you use 2K primer on restos?
No, I've answered that one already.
We don't do restorations anyways. I mean, after 30 years, I don't even think you remember what your first paint job felt like. Were you scared?
Yeah, I was. I said, the painter's drunk. You gotta get in there. I don't paint. You been watching him? Yeah. Here's a paint gun. You want to be a painter? Paint, bitch.
I watched a guy the other day who was clearing the side of a car, and then I thought it was for joke, and he just like straight up took his hand and put it right where he had cleared, and then I realized that he was so drunk he couldn't stand up properly, and that he kept falling over into it. That was bad.
Alright, guys, I guess we're gonna end the live.
End the live, but we'll be back. We'll be sanding this and then clearing it. We'll be basing it and clearing it.
Yeah, we'll be basically clearing it shortly. Guten Tag.